Alright, welcome to the 11th episode of SmashCenter. It is of course myself, Suar from PGstats, here to bring you this past weekend's latest results, news, controversies, and more. As a part of the SmashCenter special, we're bringing you the best of the best, and also we're letting you know what's going on in the Smash scene, both in Ultimate and in Melee. So please join us as we're going to start now our live show. If this is you seeing us on YouTube, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Keeps you up to date on the latest in SmashCenter news and ultimately the Smash community news. And if you want to leave a comment and tell us what your favorite moment of the show was, then we can definitely highlight it in a later show. Otherwise, if you have a question that you can DM me in the Q&A section, I'm always available on Twitter. So make sure you get on that and get featured on a show one day. But anyways, we have a lot to cover and not too much time to do it. So let's go ahead and hop right into the first event we're going to talk about this past weekend, which happened in Vancouver. So Canada featured a very intense event called Battle of BC3. ESAM has his first large-scale tournament win over Ally in Grand Finals, this of course being a long-standing rivalry between the two, dating back to Smash 4 and even in Brawl. Ally reset the bracket 3-1 and then proceeded to lose 3-1. He switched from Snake to the iconic Mario for Grand Finals. Unfortunately, that was not enough for Ally and he fell to the Pikachu Master. In other news, PA Captain Zach, one of the last of our Smash 4 top Bayos, had a really great run actually. He finished 3rd place with Daisy and a little bit of Palutena. Big ups to Zach. Being able to transition into this game isn't an easy thing, but he's showing us that he's definitely more than capable of doing that. Big D, a very prolific King Day-to-Day main, and also featuring Ices this time, had an outstanding performance and showed the scene just what kind of nasty things he can do with Ice Climbers in this iteration of Smash. And yes, there's no wobbling, but at the same time, we're starting to experiment. He had some desync tech, and he was able to finish with 4th place, which of course is very impressive given the attendance of this tournament. Pandarian, Pacific Northwest representative, continues to amaze us all with his solo Pokemon Trainer. He's only playing Pokemon Trainer. Previously, he used to play Meta Knight, but dropping that character for Pokemon Trainer has definitely yielded him many results this time around. He placed 5th, had some really close games, and you know, with everyone that was set before him, he played very well. Pandarian and Wishes are definitely at the forefront of the Pokemon Trainer metagame, along with Leffen when he decides to give the Pokemon Trainer a spin. Exodia, another Canadian resident from Alberta, ties with Pandarian for 5th place and his own stellar breakout performance, going mostly Fox with a little bit of Mewtwo. Again, a character we haven't seen too much in this iteration of Smash given the not-so-graceful transition. Exodia placed 5th at the last Battle of BC, which MKLeo won in Smash 4, so definitely staying within the top 8 there for his region, representing, you know, very highly. Lastly, Captain L, also representing Pikachu, gets 7th place, but takes a few games with Kirby, having shown us beforehand that he can do much damage with the floaties, showing us in Smash 4 that he can also do some pretty terrible things with Jigglypuff. Captain L is again no stranger to the top 8s in and around his region, so congrats to both players and everybody involved in that actually. Moving right along though, we had another tournament happening in the Midwest. This one featuring many familiar faces and also a lot of high octane competition that we haven't been able to see for a while, but we're graced again with its inclusion this time, and that's going to be Super Bit Wars 7. Super Bit Wars 7 in Norman, Oklahoma boasted 256 players. As opposed to being the B tier that Battle of BC3 was rated. Super Bit Wars 7 was a C tier, but regardless, MVD won the tournament from loser's side, resetting the bracket and proceeding to 3-0 Austin, a very famous Nexus player from the region. MVD and Austin met at Ultimate Shockwave 4 2 months ago, and have one of the best sets in the game so far. Believe it or not, their set is sitting at around 200,000. You heard that right, 200,000 views on YouTube. Austin won in a close game 10, and a mini rivalry was actually formed. Many people were cheering for Austin, but this time around, MVD got the best of him. Now, this is one of those characters like Game Watch that has an immediate tool for Snake's explosives, and that makes the matchup tricky for Snake, but regardless, MVD was able to power through it, and a lot of counterplay was seen. He did take the gold home, and we also had another character, we had Sethlon making top 8 with Roy, and he continues to push this character's metagame that he loves so much. Congratulations to the winners of both of those events. We're going to transition now into actually talking about a few winners for last week's Nintendo Online Open, the North American Open, which actually has now finished and concluded with a tournament in PAX East. This tournament featured a very interesting competition that many of us were happy to see, only because we were seeing some of our best players actually duke it out on the main stage in front of everybody at PAX. We wanted to congratulate Team Southeast for representing everybody that's going to be heading to actually an event we're going to talk later during the show in June this summer, they revealed. But those three were definitely the ones to take all of the gold and won some pretty snazzy prizes themselves. Those three, of course, are going to be Wrath, Devante, and Poltergust. These three from the Southeast represented nice and hard, and they put that W on the map for the region and for themselves. So congratulations. Lastly, we have one more thing we want to bring up. This is going to be Pound 2019. Pound 2019 being the pretty much the last event that the Pound team has done, or actually, if I'm correct in my history, Pound 2016 was the last event that the Pound team has done. This is the latest that they're presenting with us, Pound 2019. Pound 2019 is going to be boasting a lot of talent. I'm telling you right now, this is the event to be at, and it's going to be an event that's actually rated B tier. This event is going to showcase a lot of what people have found out so far in the game, and also as a prelude to the Summer of Smash happening in April, it's going to be one of those events that we're going to be referencing for a while as the PGR season continues. Pound 2019 is going to be in Laurel, Maryland. This is featured at the latest venue that the team VG Bootcamp has been able to secure. That's going to be the racetrack that they've been famously putting on many events at, such as Glitch. And so you're going to be seeing many familiar faces, many people from the East Coast, and some people from abroad and from other regions as well. So that about wraps it up for this week's weekend recap on SmashCenter. We're going to go ahead and bring on now our main guest for the show, the only guest we have. But first, I just want to thank everybody for everything that they've been giving us so far in terms of support and the feedback. We're trying to make the show as good as we can every week, and the feedback that you've been providing has been helpful. I know that tech-wise things can be a little bit frustrating, but for the most part, everyone's been very helpful, and we appreciate that. So anytime you want to leave something in the comment box or in the comments that you send to me via Twitter or in my DMs, we really appreciate it. We try to implement it first thing. But yeah, we're going to head into the show now. We have many topics to talk about. First, we're going to go ahead and bring on Coney. Coney, you are now on the show. You are with us. You are now loud and clear. How's everything been?
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I was chewing ice. I got ice in here, so I got to not do that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Just got back from PAX yesterday morning. Great event. It was killer, but we'll talk about that along with everything else. But hi, everybody. How's it going?
Yeah, Coney, welcome. You got the Super Smash Con hoodie. You got the headphones over the hoodie.
I'm freezing, dude. So my wife is trying to keep it cool, so all the windows are open. And it's like 40 degrees in Maryland, so my wife is like
trying to keep it cool.
Yeah, because like she gets hot easy. She's women, am I right? So she gets hot easy, so she wants it cold. But I don't want the AC on when it says cold outside, so we have all the windows open, and I'm chilling with this damn hoodie. So that's what we're doing.
Wow, we really sound like we're like our age right now.
I know.
Well, Coney, welcome.
I love her.
Welcome to the 11th episode. I don't even know why I welcome you. You're not a guest. You're the co-host. You're the hostess with the mostest, but you're not a hostess.
Happy to be here all the same.
But yeah, welcome. PAX. Just to start off on that topic, PAX was it a love it? Was it a hate it? What would you rate it?
If we're talking about the Nintendo stuff, love it. I thought it was awesome.
Overall, start.
Overall, I'm not a Expo guy. I'm not a con guy. I can't.
Not a con man.
I actually did nothing, but I did the Nintendo thing, and then we at the Nintendo thing, we weren't even in the Expo the day before because we did like a briefing, we're talking about it, and then at the Expo, I literally just did the Nintendo thing and then went out to eat. I'm not an Expo guy. I'm not a big schmoozer. I'm not a networker. I don't like crowds. I'm
sound
like
socially anxious, Coney.
I know. I'm not antisocial. I'm very much an introvert, and like I just don't deal well with that. Cause like you could play stuff, but so the big thing that I wanted to do, right, was I really wanted to play Streets of Rage 4 because I love Streets of Rage, one of my favorite series, and they're making a new game.
Ooh.
They had one setup there as a demo with a line that was 45 minutes. Get the hell out of here. I'm not doing. Every single game that I looked at that I thought was interesting had that same story. It's like, okay, well, you could just wait here for 20 minutes. And I was alone. Like, that's the other thing. I wasn't hanging out with anybody because, like, you know, a lot of my friends are in this business and they got a network. They got to go to the parties. That's fine, but that's not my life. So I'm not a PAX guy. I'll just say that. That's all I'll say. I'm not a PAX dude.
I'll echo a lot of that from the times I was at PAX, I think last year and the year before. It's definitely, like, you're doing a lot. Like, everything's required of you. People want to see you. You can't see everybody. It's kind of like a tournament, but there's, like, a twist on it in that it's, like, bigger than any tournament you can, ever been to. Take what you would imagine being at Genesis and then multiply that at least by like seriously like 60 or 80 times. Like, it's the convention hall. It was the same seaport, right, in Boston, same one.
Yes. Yeah.
That whole thing is like, when I first went, it's like a sea of people that you can't even, like, the crowds, like, basically by the time your eye hits the horizon on the crowd, everyone looks like they are the spectators from Pokemon Stadium 2. Like, yeah, it's a mass. It's a mass. And so, like a music festival with, like, you know, we were talking about it earlier with, like, hundreds of acts, right? Like a Coachella or a Bonnaroo. Like, you're not even going to get to enjoy most of the acts there, let alone any, right? And being in a line for that long with that many people. I honestly like the indie booths. No one hits those up. I remember seeing the Snake game for the Switch before it became the Snake game for the Switch. You know what I'm talking about? That Snake puzzle?
Snake Pass. Yeah.
Snake Pass. Like, Snake Pass. Come on.
I mean, you think that, but that's where I go because I love indie games. I'm playing an indie game right now, which was made by the guy that made Dropsy. It's called Hypnospace Outlaw, out right now on Steam. It's incredible.
Show.
Yeah, there's a good. Hey, I'll plug that guy forever. I love that guy.
I'm gonna show. I'll show after you, but show right now. Go ahead.
All right. So the indie booths, even those were full, dude. Like, even the like one-off. So you've got this problem, right? Where the indie booth is either really well known because they make killer games, like Devolver. Like Devolver Digital, it took 30 minutes to play anything. Love those guys. Or you've got an indie booth that, like, bless their heart, maybe the game is fun, but it looks like a Newgrounds game from 2001. So I can't.
Listen, Newgrounds had many gems, but
yeah, when I was 14, yeah, definitely. Now, no, I'm not trying to play that. I got stuff to do. I don't know. Expo. I'm sure PAX was a lot of fun to people that went. I'm just not that guy.
So if you haven't been to a PAX, bring a backpack, bring a Camelback. You're gonna spend too much money because there's nowhere to eat except the convention, so they trapped you.
Also, you have to not be. I'm okay with this because I can be mean. I don't mind. You have to learn to push through people. You would not believe how many people I see just kind of mealy mouth, just kind of shuffling their feet and moving at 1 mile an hour. I don't want to go through this crowd of people, and I'm just. Like, I'm bumping shoulders. Like, I'm not dealing with this
like
stuff.
Black Friday, that's my LCD. Get them out of the way. Yeah, that's...
Yep. You have to do it. You have to do it. And you don't...
It's
insane, but, like, there's so many people, dude.
I recommend, if you haven't been to a PAX before, anybody watching, buy a single-day pass. Honestly, they are always scalping them outside the event. Buy a single-day pass just to see what it's like. But Boston's expensive. Boston's annoying to get through. Boston... I mean, it is nice, but like it's a really, really tough city to navigate without a car, and you're not gonna be able to like exit the venue and go hang out with friends at something. Like, everything's kind of a trek. All the places you want to go, like at least if it's on the coast, like right there, like right on. I mean, I know the whole thing's the coast, but I mean on the water, sure, it's gonna be expensive. So you're probably not gonna be going there in the first place, and then everything else is just gonna be packed. So I recommend people just go for a one-day PAX ticket. It's pretty affordable, and also after going like one day, you kind of don't want to go the second unless you have something literally planned. Yeah, it's like, here we are. There are more people that the fire code should probably allow.
Yeah.
But here's you could play a demo for a game that hasn't been out yet.
Speaking of that, that actually leads very well into the Nintendo stuff. We had the fire marshal called because at the PAX Arena thing with the Nintendo stuff with Splatoon and Smash, all the seating was full.
Too hot.
And it was too many people. All the seating was full, and people were standing around PAX Arena trying to watch it, and people in the Sky Bridge were watching it, which is like the thing that floats above.
Whoa, really?
It was super cool. Yeah, it's a really cool environment. I loved it. It was awesome.
Okay, so you're talking about actual crowds because
yes,
the second to last, or actually we didn't have. So funny story. Last year at PAX there was no Smash. Instead, on that stage they had a Castro Oil sponsored Forza Motorsport time trial exhibition.
Really?
So money talks because like that game had no crowd, but it took the stage over Smash did. And what was Smash going to take last year? But
yeah.
the year before, they're on the same stage, organized by Blur, everybody, and it was nice. I mean, it had people, but not in the Sky Bridge, not fire code people, types of amount. But before this gets lost, I do want to plug in. Have you played Risk of Rain?
Yeah, I really liked the first game, and I know the second game's out. I haven't played it yet.
That's up your alley, but I'll plug them.
Yeah.
Hippo Games, definitely, or Hopo. I don't even know the name because I'm that bad, but definitely a game to check out on Steam, but also a game that was probably featured at a PAX prior. But it's also, again, PAX is a great way to find out what's on the horizon, but unless you have a roadmap or an itinerary, you're not going to be able to get anything done. So enough about going to PAX and being at a PAX or doing PAX. How was the experience after everything's said and done? We had the teams come up. We had, of course, Southeast take it, which is nice. That's a Florida pride right there. But how was everything set up? Because it looked really fancy. I mean, this was Overwatch League sort of staging. You got Team Northeast and Team, wherever. I mean, was it actually?
Yeah, Nintendo really stepped up their game in terms of kind of.
Oh wow! I see the Skybridge actually. It's on. We're playing the vibe, but that's packed.
Yeah, it's nuts. So a lot of people were watching there. I mean, I loved the presentation of it. Definitely seems like Nintendo's taking this very seriously, and I think that that's really valuable considering a lot of people thought this was just going to be kind of a token effort or like a marketing stunt. And I'm not necessarily thinking like I'm not trying to say that there isn't a bit of marketing in it, obviously, but like. There's clearly more to this. There's passion here, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're suffocating anything. They're like trying to give everything its best platform,
Right. Exactly.
Cool.
I thought it was incredible. I really dug sort of their take on this competitive format. And the thing that kind of bugs me is that I think 3v3 and team-based leagues have sort of been a lot of people kind of wish for them. And I've seen a lot of people saying, that'd be really cool for Smash. I'd like to see that tried. But then Nintendo does it, and a lot of the same people are like, "Oh, Nintendo, where's our 1v1 league?" It's like you can't have both. Nintendo's really trying to make this happen. And honestly, who else but Nintendo could do this? Because if like 2GG said they wanted to do this, a 3v3 event, that attendance would be super low. If I'm being honest, people don't want to try that. So,
but if Alpha did it with a casual rule set, we got
exactly.
We're talking.
You have to know your audience. I think Nintendo knows their audience very well, and I think this was the play. And I really loved the event. It was killer. We had a lot of people thought that the players would be like no names, but we had Seth, Numbers, Wrath, Sweet Tea. We had a lot of talented players, and it created a lot of great moments. It was an amazing event.
And
it was great.
I think that PAX is a great stage for that too because it's kind of weird. Like, so con tournaments are always very strange from a competitive standpoint because usually they're free entry. And like MomoCon is it's crazy how the branding of MomoCon worked out because it's at a con, it's free to enter, and it's thousands of people, but they're not there for Smash necessarily, but it became a headline thing.
Yeah.
You can thank Nairo for that mostly, and Fatality. But at something like some of the other anime cons, like they have Smash tournaments all the time that go under the radar. Sometimes they get 300 people enter, but like it's like a no name. Plus, like setups and stuff, they weren't prepared for it. So sometimes you hear about like super badly run con tournaments, but
Yeah.
then you have packs with like an invitational, and you get to show off people that many people might not know, but also the game to people who don't even know that this is going on. And then you get people asking, "Hey, what's this?" And little, believe it or not, they actually like have an esports team or they want to get into esports. So this is a great kind of jump off point for everybody. Whether or not like the community sees it, it's definitely something that, at large, it seems like very successful for PAX. So props all around. Working with Nintendo once again, you had EE and Vicky. What was that like? Did you feel any different now that it's Ultimate, at least?
No, I mean, like, it was pretty good. The TriCast format, I think a lot of people are trying to do a TriCast format, and I think it can be sort of difficult to pull off unless you've known each other for as long as, like, EETK and I have known each other. I keep seeing TriCasts pop up, and I'm a little skeptical. Not to say that I don't like people experimenting, and it's always good to get another chair on there so we could get more casters, eating.
But it needs to be deliberate. Adding another chair won't fix what your current duo is lacking.
It needs to feel organic. It can't. I feel like a lot of the time we're just bolting on another chair, and that third person may not be adding anything. But this is all like I'm really putting the cart before the horse here, because in terms of me, Vicky, and EE, I thought it was great. I thought that we worked very well together. EE was really the resource for sort of the break it down basic, sort of keep it fundamental, because we forget that when we were kind of running it over early, we totally glossed over what Smash Brothers is and what it means, and like there are a lot of people tuning in for the first time, and Vicky was very good at sort of delivering that. And EE, of course, is the hype clip man. Like, he's the clip guy. That's always what he does. He gets the soundbite. We always give that to him, and I was sort of on Jordan Kent host duty, which is very hard. Just to be clear, that's very.
You're
difficult.
the guy. You're the guy. Everyone is waiting for what you're gonna say. You're the guy.
It's really tough. You know why it's hard is because most times as a commentator, you can freeform it. You could speak extemporaneously. You can talk normally. You can just kind of coast through. Say, you could say things in whatever order you want.
You can reference anime, yeah. Go on.
You could do that if you want to, but if you're the host, you got to hit point A, B, C, D, E. Don't forget anything. The Super Smash Brothers Open Online Invitational Finals, 18,000 entrants all across the U.S., North America only. These 4 regions, here now, PAX East, World Championship qualifier, introduce the co-commentators, have a little point, kick off to this person. You have to hit all that in order.
Sound like the slap chop guy. I'm not gonna lie.
It's tough, dude. Having a host job like that is really tough. So I was basically baby Jordan Kent, providing half of the charisma and half of the ability. That guy's incredible. But I did as best I could. I did as best I could. He's so good. He's professionally trained for this stuff. He's amazing. But anyway, bottom line, I want to go back because I don't want to make it sound like I was poo-pooing the TriCast thing overall, because I think Vicky, EE, and I worked really well together. I just brought that up because I feel like I'm seeing TriCasts everywhere, and I kind of
it's the new hotness, It's the new It's the new what is it? What was recently something that stream added? I don't know. I can't think of it right now, but it's something that people definitely want to... Oh, it's the new analyst desk. There you go. It's the new analyst desk. I've been on every successful analyst desk, and even the successful ones were not successful in my eyes, but they just look successful.
Right.
But the early ones that people tried, an analyst desk isn't, all right, let's talk about the match. And it's like no graphics, no graphical support, no media cuts, no camera cuts. So it's like, this is gonna be bad.
Right, yeah.
But then when we did it at like the 2GGC finals, that was, oh my gosh, like Suar's Bar, and then Virum and Gunblade and Bam and whoever at the top, like that is a 40-person team putting that on. A TriCast is a little bit more accessible though, because it's like adding a chair, but if you didn't have the chemistry before,
you would think so, but it's so in the same way that you need a level of sort of production and support on the back end for an analyst, or for an analyst desk, if you're doing a TriCast and you're not like TKEED1 who have worked together forever, like they did at Genesis, like if you're not that natural and you haven't worked together and know each other that well, you need very clearly defined. You need to support yourselves with very clearly defined roles and expectations, responsibilities.
True, yeah.
Like so,
Norms.
it still work. If you don't have that level of comfortability, obviously, so you still need that level of support. It's just in a different way, you know.
Oh yeah, of course, and it's not to undermine the energy it takes to do a TriCast. It's just not something where it's like, hey, you know, you want this headset, and then like, hey, pull up a chair, it's gonna work. Like it's
right.
You know, and not that like events have necessarily done that, but I feel like the same amount of thought, or I guess the little amount of thought that went into that, pretty much applies. I mean, TriCasts are special. TriCast doesn't make a top 8 better. It can make it worse. You know, I've seen TriCasts where it's just really like a 2-person and a third wheel because they didn't work out dynamics or they just don't know. I mean, to be real, like a lot of the couch dynamics at Summit felt that way.
Yes, right.
And that's not even a shot at anyone in particular. Like when I was on the couch, when I was off the couch, like so many people were like, is this my time? What do I say? You know, Slime was definitely coordinating people off camera to be like, hey, so, you know, when a player comes up, you know, give them the mic, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, apart from that, it's just experience. So I think overall, like, for something like PAX, you guys hit it out of the park. And it's also something that people were, you know, really yearning, really, like, excited to see. And also, it's, like, great presentation as, like, an external display of the community. So, firm handshakes all around. But now we have this mouthful of like alphabet acronyms for what this is leading into. So I didn't even know this, but when this whole event closed, it led into the What Coney, it led into the SSBUWC 2019 3v3. Can you say it in one go?
Here we go. Host duties again. If I remember this correctly, the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World Championship 2019 3v3.
That's awful.
That order, that's the title. That's the order. We didn't know. By the way, we didn't know any of that. Seriously, I found out about it waking up from a nap to go back to the arena. It was like 11:30, and I was about to walk back so we could get ready. And then I checked the subreddit, and it was like, Nintendo announced this World Championships. We're like, huh? We're here, and we didn't know that. They're so tight-lipped about this stuff. I love it. And I love that Nintendo does that because they know that somebody's going to squeal. Like, they know somebody's going to say it. And I don't know. I'm really happy. Always room for surprises.
So the Nintendo supercalifragilistic, you know, that circuit thing. For what it's worth, though, Wrath, Devontae, and Poltergust. Shout out to Poltergust. He's a Yoshi from Florida, actually. Moved around from CFL and SFL. So really funny to see him up here on this screen right now. Yeah. But they won a trip for a championship in June. But like, what does that mean? Like, who are the other people playing at that championship in June, and where?
So it's going to be 4 teams. You've got North America, Europe, Japan, and Australia, New Zealand. Oh. So they're going to get a 3v3 squad from all 4 of those places and bring them all to LA on June 8th.
Big yikes.
I mean, I love it. I think that's awesome.
Wait, June you say? June 8th?
June 8th, very soon. Yeah.
Uh-oh. I hope that's not during an event.
No, it's... Well, I don't think so.
June. Smash and Splash is June 2nd, so they're good. Okay, so they should be fine. CEO is the 30th, and that should be cool. MumbleCon's the 26th of May. Gommel's May. Okay, cool. So there's nothing crazy is what I meant, because it'd be awkward if it was like during CEO, right. You know, the season ender. But yeah, congrats to them. I think that should be fun. I think there's more experimentation with 3v3. I don't even know the logistic headache it all causes for like a tournament, especially like when you consider doubles and it's like one person is late for a team of like, or like a group of 4, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like now you're talking about 6. I don't even want to talk about that. But
I think if you're a Nintendo, like if you're daddy, you're showing up on time.
Oh no, I'm talking about having it at tournaments. Like going
I know. I'm just like, Nintendo bakes in a ton of redundancies to make sure this doesn't happen. Like, we got to the venue at 7 a.m. to make sure everybody knew what was expected of them. They knew what was going to happen. Like, Nintendo is very professional, which is
it's almost
awesome.
as if their industry. That's weird.
Yes, it's incredible. It's great, but you're right. I didn't even think of that. Like, if Genesis tries to do something like this, and like Wizzy's in the potty, you know, it's like, what are you gonna do? You know?
I need you to stop. Yeah, no, it's grassroots versus professional comes with production. It's night and day. Commentary block at 10, show up at 10:30. What's good? But anyways, I think that this event was overall a success. Viewership was on the up and up. I know that the support from the community pretty much absent. I didn't see a single thing on Twitter. I didn't even see a Twitch clip. I think Toasty might have covered it, if anything, but I didn't see anything besides what you were tweeting and what EE were tweeting, along with Vicky. But you know, we have to realize at one point that it's a net gain, and you know, high tide, all boats in the bathtub, they rise, all that, you know. So for what it's worth, you know, great job on the TriCast. Hopefully a year from today at the next PAX, we're seeing some crazy reveal. Also, were you surprised or actually totally not surprised that there wasn't a Joker reveal at the end? Because Splatoon, they had some content reveal, right? So that kind of gave the expectations. So what happened there? What's going on?
Not surprised at all.
Not surprised?
No.
Man.
Not surprised. Because I was not surprised one bit. I think that they're going to pull the trigger when they're ready, and I thought it was very clear that now was not the time. Now,
how is that clear that it wasn't the time? It was industry event with many industry professionals and journalists from all over the world. You're not going to reveal it at PAX? I thought that would be the perfect time.
No, because it's not. It is very clear to me, and maybe it's because I'm working with them, and like I would have said this even if stuff would have happened. If stuff would have happened, I would have said that I had no idea it was going to happen. It is very clear to me that the way Nintendo considers this and the way they consider Smash as a whole are two different entities.
Oh, totally. Yeah, their timeline versus our time. What Smash calendar? It's over. Yeah.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about Smash, like this competition, and what Smash is to Nintendo, period. I think their competitive side and their just whatever Smash is in general are different. That's kind of siloed.
Oh, okay.
And I think if they're going to do something, it's going to be within a bigger Smash realm, like within a Direct or a Smash-specific Direct, something like that. They're not going to bundle that with this competition stuff.
So even farther from like a Genesis reveal, like how Capcom does, it's even still too far from that.
Exactly. I do not foresee those two things reconciling, and I could be wrong, but that's just generally I don't think that those two things. That's like sort of oil and water. No, definitely nothing. Come on. You think VG's got that stroke?
Don't
like
come on like that. He's your fellow man.
Yeah, that's my boy. Calvin's my boy. But if Calvin could secure a Joker reveal at Pound Finals, it's done. It's over. Like, sorry, PG, I'm going back. Like, it's at that point, like it's over.
That's OD. So,
I don't know.
Yeah. So. I'm happy for it. I'm glad, but you know, without beating it too much, congrats to everybody, and congrats to Southeast, repping hard, Poltergust, and company. Congrats, but you know, now moving on to a more sobering topic. Battle of BC3 this past weekend. Did we watch it? Did we hate it? Did we love it? What did you hear from it on the Melee side? Because this is a SmashCenter podcast / show. Where, you know, no Smash is discriminated against. So there was quite a bit that happened at Battle BC 3, which, by the way, big ups to here. He is a Pacific Northwest native who put this on, apparently, with the help of the entire, you know, BC team, and also as a student. So that's wild. But apart from props, what noise or what rumblings did you hear on the Melee side that I'm not going to spell out right now?
Well, so... if you consider Melee a Smash game, as some do, Melee, that joke is going to have no context for anybody that wasn't watching the scene like 2 months ago. So during the Melee thing, apparently Melee got one of the best top 8s of the year. Yeah. Like, they got an incredible top 8. It was kind of overshadowed by something that happened earlier between a Jigglypuff and an Ice Climbers player that's got everybody a buzz, which is weird because... like, from my perspective, and I could be wrong on this, I don't follow Melee especially closely, it felt like it felt like that would have been the equivalent of like 2 mid-level players in Ultimate. It just, I like, are the 2 people that played, are they top 100?
Neither were even top 100.
Then why does it matter what happens in a, like, that's like posting like a pulls round 2 set before top 64 and drawing all these conclusions and saying, well, we need wobbling, or Jigglypuff is so lame, or all this stuff. Like, at that level of play, anything can happen. You could have put a Game & Watch up there and that unfinished character and then just, oh, well, Game & Watch looks really strong. You can't extrapolate this stuff. And I don't know where it came from or how it started, but Melee seems sort of self-destructive right now in a lot of ways to me, which is weird. There's a lot of self-loathing and angst. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Honestly, it was quite literally something that I think just began from Twitter. Like,
oh wait, that set was in top 8? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was actually in top 8. Okay, well,
it was in top 8 with non-top 100 players. So it was a hotly contested match because it was, of course, streamed, but it was basically featuring your 100 plus people who, you know, this was a regional. So again, the talent pool stops at around the 7th person listed. No offense to anybody, of course, beyond that, but like in talking of like ranking and like pedigree, like the people that you stop reading on the attendees list, 6-7 names deep, as opposed to like a Genesis where you go at least 30 names deep.
No, but I hear the argument that like even if it's at the bottom half of top 8 is where all the eyes show up. So I feel that point. That kind of makes sense. I still think that people sort of lost perspective and blew it out of proportion, but for it to be in top 8, I think creates a different dynamic to it. So I'll concede to that. That makes sense.
It does, but then we had a situation where, yeah, like Jiggly and Ices, which is at the center of the controversy meta in terms of like who can be hated more. Wobbling has been banned now in several regions, and it has been a ban that people stood by, but then people were talking about like another unrelated problem with like Jigglypuff stalling and her ability to move around the stage in the way that she can, which invalidates certain matchups. So then you had that against the Ices that, you know, were pretty much just like recently just got like suppressed a little bit. But then, yes, we had a Jigglypuff and an Ices player in a game 5. The Ices player eventually just stopped moving. There was stalling, and a very, you know, valid tactic. I don't believe in lame play being lame. Like, it's just play to win. In fighting games and in other games as well, like chess, like people like wall out, you know? But then now it was like, yeah, we need a ban on that. We need a rule on that. And people were upset. People were tweeting about it. Twitter fingers, of course, coming out in full force. But yeah, I don't think that it invalidated the tournament at all. Because then Axe won, which is like the best possible timeline for your event. But yeah,
it doesn't need to be a big deal. Like, it's just a player got frustrated at an annoying matchup and stormed off the stage. Like, that happens plenty at lower levels.
Yeah, that actually happens all the time.
That happens all the time. It happened during a top 8 here, and this is to take nothing away from either player because, you know, they're good players. Obviously, they got into the top 8, but yeah. I mean, this isn't the same as like Plup throwing a tantrum fighting H-Box. You know what I mean? Like there are levels to this game, as we've seen a billion times before. Yeah. I think people are kind of blowing this out of proportion, and again, I think it's because there's a real crisis going on with Melee, which has historically been held up as this sort of this chalice of incredible gameplay. Like, it just overflows with hype and these crazy moments, and now you're realizing that it's kind of running dry, and now the same thing that a lot of people said, okay, don't touch it, it's going to be perfect forever, it's going to be sick, everybody's going to love this game forever, sort of being exposed for what it is, which is a competitive video game, which can be optimized and exploited, and it's, I think, a new type of players taking over. And part of me wonders, and I don't want to talk about this for too long because this podcast is only supposed to be an hour, part of me wonders if this is sort of what's happening when back in the day You play Melee in the basement with your friends, whoever, like, you just wanted to have the sickest Falco, right? You wanted to have the sickest Spacey. You wanted to be respected
PC
as
Chris.
the best
You saw
player.
the documentary, you want to be PC Chris, yeah.
Right, you want to be PC Chris. Or maybe you want to be Ken. But Ken isn't stalling people out. Ken isn't playing lame. Now, when we're talking about $1,000 prize pools, when we're talking about worldwide recognition from Twitter, the scale outside of your sponsors, it's not about that anymore. It's not about being the coolest kid on your block, the coolest kid in the nation. Now it's you want to be the winner. And I think that in the same vein that like Armada and Zero sort of took that, were the champions of, okay, I don't care about being cool. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I don't even own this game. I don't even own a Switch. They're not trying to do that. They're trying to win and don't care how you perceive them. The problem then is that you're going to have more and more people who have this, who see that stuff and want to win and want to be the best and want these championship trophies and want to be considered the best in the room. And you're going to see more and more of this optimization. So part of me, I'm just speculating. I wonder if it's sort of a mentality shift. So you're going to have people get away from like the Mangos and the S2Js of the world. And you're always going to have people like Zane. But then you're also going to have a lot of people like, I don't know, like Captain Awesome in Melee that's going to show up and just be like, all right, I'm going to win the way I want to win. I don't give a hoot what you think.
Trip sapling, man. Trip seed. Oh, man. Blowing up balloons, everything. Yeah. What a reference. Blast of the Past, Captain Awesome.
That's my boy.
That's not your boy. That's nobody's boy.
I don't know the guy, but...
He's fine. He's cool.
He might be my boy. I don't
know. Yeah, no, that's a good point because, what then is now kind of sort of happening is like those flashy hit players, right? The Fox with the pew pews and the Falcos with the blip blips, starting a rhetoric within the community of like, this needs to stop. This is killing Melee. TOs, what can we do? Then TOs getting pressure. I'm not going to go to this event. Like, it's a little dangerous. Like, I think in the ecosystem of Smash, the most leverage within any of the classes you can choose. Like, if you're in a Smash RPG and you can be a TO, a caster. I don't know why you'd be a caster. It's like, can't even heal.
Casters are very top heavy. The end game is excellent. The end game is excellent, but the early game is impossible.
Oh my god, yeah. So you can be a caster, a player, a TO, all those things. Like player definitely top player definitely has a lot of leverage.
Yes.
A player tweeting that their flight has been canceled for an event can be anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 less people watching, depending, or 500 to 600. Maybe you're a regional, right? And the buzz is like, oh, my car got a flat, I can't go to whatever Tri-State Regional. To the point where, like, at a tournament, a player tweets, this setup doesn't have Smashville. And then it's like, the tournament blows. And then it's like, you got to watch out for that. The TOs, they tweet their heart out. So thanks everyone for coming. Tag 40 people. Hey, register for my tournament. Ignored. Deaf ears. No. Unsubscribe. Like no one gives anything to them in terms of like the same attention top players get. So my worry, at least, is where people start to really drum up, like, because then they'll be like, oh, like I don't mean this to turn any rules, or how Leffen has been very diplomatic about it, but still stirring a conversation, as he so often does, which no shame there.
Sure.
You are then turning around to your 50, 60, 70K followers who cannot think as critically as you, hearing these points, and then them parroting it to their friends, and then them all being in a living room and being like, you know what? Puff needs to be banned, and then going to their local and then starting animosity. So something to keep in mind. I'd love to see where we are by December of this year, after Summer of Smash has progressed for Melee, as it will for Ultimate, and see where people stand. Because I think it's a dangerous divide that's starting. Because like that was in Hungrybox, and I don't know, like let's say PPMD came back and that was what he did to him, right? Which could be totally very real, right? This was two non-ranked players, which should not be able to shift the narrative that hard. Like, there's something bubbling that triggered people that hard between two essentially randoms for the game that was like starting a top 8. So again, no offense, not randoms, but like in the grand scheme of things, okay, it's very much like it was not something to phone home about, and one person's reaction caused watershed of events. So
I think that's a really interesting point too. So I used to be of the opinion until pretty recently that figureheads and whatever you want to call them, personalities, aren't really responsible. Yeah, whatever word you want to say. I was of the opinion, and I still kind of hold this belief, that they are not responsible for their audience. Not in terms of, like, if you're seeing a lot of misogyny or transphobia or, like, toxic stuff, harassment, that's one thing. But if I say something is annoying in a game or dumb in a game, I don't think that should have enough influence to, like, I guess what I'm saying is I've seen what that does now, especially sort of as a post-mortem on the Bayonetta stuff in Smash 4, and I have a lot of thoughts about this, because I kind of contributed to that, and now that I'm looking back, I wish that I kind of didn't, because, like, I was really just calling a spade and saying hitting one witch time shouldn't really cause you to lose a match, but at the same time, it caused a lot of people to want 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds to kill themselves. So, like, you know, you gotta weigh your options here.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
I feel like we're past the point where we can say, okay, these big figureheads or influencers or whatever you want to call them aren't responsible for what the community at large thinks. Because what we're seeing is that if they're driving the conversation like that, the amount of sort of idol worship and fandom in Smash specifically, I don't know how it is for other games, but, like, that kind of stuff, it really does shape it. And it pushes people who, again, might not be able to think critically, and either maybe they're really young, maybe they're just stupid. I don't know. But it could go in either direction, and, like, the thing that upsets me is, so this is jumping into another game. So a lot of people in the Ultimate Top 8, Captain Zach was super down on Ally. He was very low. He didn't have much chance left in the set. So he taunts and he SDs, jumps off the stage. He looks a little frustrated, but he still bumps the fist and he's fine. You know, whatever's going on is fine. There's a whole subreddit thread of people saying he's toxic, that's poor sportsmanship, he shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 played the set out. Just people, armchair analysts and psychoanalysts and, you know, people just trying to get inside this kid's head, and it's really corny and stupid. They're just spectators. But if Mango did that, if Mango had one stock to HBox's 4, taunted and jumped off the stage, oh, that's the Mango. Mango loves us so much, he didn't want to make us sit through that, and he might tweet out, like, didn't want to make you guys do that, LMAO. Oh, that's the Mango, he loves it. Like, yeah. There's something going on, and I know that obviously context matters, and you can think of, like, there are a lot of things that happen on the back end, but I think that players and influencers and figureheads, whatever you want to call them, are shaping this conversation, and maybe it's getting a little bit too more divisive, like, divisive for its own good, like, for all the points that you brought up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, double standards for one, so yeah, who says what and when is definitely personality dependent, but even then, like, as we saw at a grander scale, you know, the whole PewDiePie thing, that really tragic event that happened after, are influencers responsible for what their audience thinks? Large scale, no. Small scale, I think it does matter. I think if you go on as a person with an 80,000 following, with an 80K, people are tuning into your Twitter each day to see what you say, and you give an opinion that, you know, in a vacuum is as much value as a Twitch monster's, it matters. And so I found that out first and foremost when I'll never forget, I don't know if you saw this tweet, this is one of my diamond tweets, for the wrong reasons, but back in Smash 4, I know Black Panther came out because it's the movie I saw after I tweeted this tweet and then put it in my pocket for 2 hours, which was the worst idea. If you've ever tweeted before a plane ride, you know what I mean. Like a spicy take before a plane ride, you know what I mean. It was talking about, God, when the Bayo hate was at its peak, I think it was post Frostbite, and people were talking about ban Bayo, right? Like the character, like a character ban was on the table, and it was very real because figureheads were not dismissing it, which was the dangerous part. All the way to Zero, they were not dismissing it. I think he might have been retired by then, or he was about to, whatever. And I said on Twitter, I said, PGR events that do not feature Bayo or feature any bans won't be considered. This is because of the integrity of the blah blah blah. I'm paraphrasing, but I basically said, like, if you ban characters, like, that's not going to be within regulation, which we make up the regulations, right? So it's not even like it was just like everyone needs to be the sameness, because yes, there were 2-stock tournaments and 3-stock tournaments, but no one has ever banned a character. And yes, some people played on Town and City and other people played on whatever, but no one has ever banned a character. So we can't have tournaments count for the PGR that literally has a character banned. And I said all that, and regardless of whatever I said, at the end I said, sit down. And that became an emote in the
the
Discord.
ending. Yeah.
And whereas other people in their regions, blah, 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 maybe as TOs, right? Regional TOs saying, hey, Bayo's not going to be banned. And whether or not they're polite about it, they're saying it to their audience. But I said it as someone that was very much, like, in control of a lot of things and responsible for a lot of things. And that's more so of a responsibility thing. But then it also stirred more into what was going on. And people were like, one of two things. One, Reddit dogpiled me. And at one point, I remember someone was like, you know, you think you're so hot, you're just a Google sheet. I was like, damn, man, that's bars. Then other people were like rallying, being like, yeah, like, deal with it. You know, like, Bayo has counterplayed, da-da-da-da-da. So it's divisive. That's the point. It's divisive. And I tweeted that for my own cathartic sake without realizing the impact it could have. On top of being irresponsible in general, because if you go emotional on Twitter, bad news. If you go political on Twitter, bad news, unless you're in private. But for the most part, this Battle BC thing, like, it was a tweet, and it also was like certain people taking a stand, and then even if they're joking, because now I even saw HBox, he satirically responded to the whole thing, saying that, you know, after reviewing the evidence and blah, 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 we should ban jumping. So now people are being made a mockery of, and people don't like being made fun of. Even if it is funny, it's still like, I have this issue and you're reductively criticizing it without dealing with the issue. And that's kind of like what people think, because like they literally think they're oppressed by Jigglypuff or by Ices or about whatever. So long story short, I believe you have an audience responsibility factor going on, and how we see that sort of dole itself out in the coming months will probably shape a lot of Melee's not only metagame, but also conversation and staleness, potential for staleness, and everything else. Basically.
Yeah, I think that if you notice, a lot of smashers, like higher, like follower smashers, whatever, more influence, have sort of been a lot less active on Twitter, and I've talked to them a lot at the events, and it's because Twitter in general has become less fun for a number of reasons. Like, even if you think about Smash 4, like, it's one thing to be like, oh, cancel culture, I can't say the F or the M word, that's crazy, that's stupid. But if you think back to, like, you know, Corin mains eat glue, Lucas mains eat crayons, dumb stuff like that. That, at its core, is the same stuff as saying Bayo mains are carried. The difference is, like, up to a certain tier, people can make a joke, but past a certain point, people actually believe these things. And we, as, you know, people who have been a part of the community for so long, know that Zach isn't totally carried by Bayonetta. We know that he's super skilled. He got third at this event. We know he's a very good player. But some people genuinely think that. So when you make these jokes, or when you try to, like, if I call a spade and say Bayonetta is a stupid character, people will go too far and say, okay, yeah, we need to ban her. No, we don't need to ban her. She's just dumb. She's not like any other Smash character. Yeah. So you have to be more... We all have sort of come to this realization that we have to be a little bit more careful in what we're saying, because audiences, you don't know, and this goes back to the same thing I talked about last week, where there's so many different realities and experiences out there that you don't know what chord you're striking with random people. Yeah. So you have to be more mindful. And like I said, I didn't used to think that these creators had to be sort of responsible for what they're saying, but more and more I'm being pushed in that direction based on the stuff that I'm seeing.
Yeah, and also, like, on top of all of that, and this will be the final point before Q&A.
Yeah, sorry to go down this road, but
no, it's fine. When people do get dogpiled and when people do get in it, right? They get in it. A lot of people, like, they kind of step back. Like, there's been many times where I've seen people get, like, you know, demolished on Twitter, and their would-be friends, they don't say anything because that's tied to your Twitter account. It's tied to your reputation, you know? And if someone's at bat for you, like, it's got to be that one-sided. But for the things that are more nuanced, many people don't speak up, which then makes it more complicated because then you're going to die on that hill by yourself.
Right.
And you got no support. So, I'm going to say right now, I think that at the current pace, Melee is facing a bit of a divide when it comes to social media, but the gameplay and the people at its core are trudging through that. They just need everything else to reflect it. So hopefully, like, as they band together and sort of get over this, because, like, it's also kind of silly because we're Ultimate and the Smash 4 community at its core supposed to be a little bit more mature, supposed to be still finding its way with growing pains. Now Melee is experiencing, like, the other end of growing pains, the, like, settling pains, and, like, what will work in the age of new up-and-coming talent with the Zane, you know, with other players that, like, are winning flashy or not. So that'll do it for that.
I think Melee will stick around as long as people love playing it more than they love talking about it.
Yeah, bars.
I think that's what I know that sounds stupid, like Confucius say. That sounds like a really stupid thing to say. But, like, I think as long as people love Melee and want to play the game, it'll be fine, as opposed to people that just want to go on Twitter and complain about Ice Climbers and Jigglypuff.
Yeah, it's honestly, they give themselves a platform, but if you don't listen, they're not speaking to anybody. So,
right.
That'll be all that on that. Moving on to Q&A, though. This segment that we're going to do now is something that we started the other week. If you DM me a question, we'll feature it here. You'll get them in DMs.
Really quick. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Congrats to ESAM. We didn't talk about that at all. Congrats to ESAM for winning. That's kind of important. Good stuff, ESAM. Congrats to Ally for second. We didn't talk about Ultimate at all. Great tournament. Okay, sorry. Go
no, that's good. Yeah, congrats to ESAM. It's a big deal winning against Ally for sure. We definitely saw what it meant when it happened in Civil War. And again, he definitely had, after, if you watch the VOD for Battle BC3, after he beats Ally, he, like, stands in front of the crowd, very, like, I did it, you know, as opposed to everybody else where he'd be like, all right, good games. It meant something. And it definitely puts Ally a little bit further behind than he already is, if we're talking about, like, in the presence of, like, all right, top players in Ultimate, but still valid, still great.
Sure.
But this segment, the Q&A, we started the other week. If you DM me a spicy take or just a question you want to know about and we find it interesting, we're going to feature it. Featuring my first DM here, we actually got a question from Soul Bullet, reading, "Hey suar, huge fan of the PG guys. How does one get on the team through scouting and placements, etc.?" I'm going to take this question and put it generally because as opposed to, like, PG, but just like teams in general, I have a lot of thoughts on this and I'm glad this question was asked. I'll basically answer it by saying, like any other job, actually. And by that I mean how you get any other job is by pure happenstance and networking. Like, seriously, as you would apply to 100 Monster or Indeed or Craigslist ads as a shotgun approach where you just send email, don't meet anybody, you'll get the same thing if you try to do that in esports, especially as a player. If you meet someone and they have a team that's coming up and you mesh well, that's just like meeting someone for a job and you can mesh well. The other thing too is, like, usually you don't apply to teams. Teams ask you. If you have to ask a team, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a bad deal. Teams pretty much find you. And Coney, you can speak a little bit more to it.
Yeah, that's always how it goes. What you want to do is do your own thing as well as you can, as big as you can. If you're a writer, write pieces all the time, put it in your Twitter bio, have, constantly be posting your stuff, try to make it visible enough so that and if you're good enough, I genuinely do think that people will latch onto it. I think Smash, in terms of writers, that's a bad example because Smashers don't really share that stuff for whatever reason. Everybody pretends like they care about it, and then they don't.
Yeah.
But if you're, a commentator or even a TO, because some orgs are picking up TOs now, obviously, Panda being one of them. Just do whatever you do the best way that you can. It really comes down to putting your work before in the Smash world. It's a very bad idea to try to get into it for the end game of making it like a job.
Yeah,
or being
especially
sponsored
as a player, like you cannot
Yes.
plan your bills around being a player. Like you will have to already be good.
Right. Yeah.
If you think final point, like you can practice to get better, but similar to like the major leagues or like the NBA, like you were already on that path from a long time ago. You don't apply to get on it, but go on.
Right. I think if you're going to be on a team, obviously you're going to be contacted, kind of like you said, and again, like you said, if you're good, you're gonna be on that path anyway. It's gonna happen. I guess I've already exhausted all the points I was going to say. I have a few other thoughts, but I don't know if they're
hit it
necessarily
punch it.
No, because I don't know. Right now the sun is shining. And Ultimate is early, and things are going great. But the only real things you can get picked up for by a majority of orgs is being a player. More orgs are starting to look at commentators. I can tell you that without saying too much. But if you're asking now, you're probably not gonna do it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like insider trading.
Sort of, yeah. That's kind of, yeah.
But, yeah, in the sense of, like, if you're asking, someone's already talking to someone.
Right, yeah.
They had mentioned through scouting and placements, so that's why I went towards the player route. Let's just end the question by saying, regardless of how you think a team... Well, here. Regardless of, like, getting found, finding, right? Be ready. Your elevator speech, your social media, your... credentials, everything that you need to present forward. I've seen players with not impressive results present themselves with an impressive display that would have anybody who had a team that didn't really know too much about the scene probably approach them, as opposed to a better player who didn't have any of their stuff organized. Now, whether or not one is merited over the other, I mean, kind of like the same thing as jobs. Like if you show up, right? That's half the battle. So have your Twitter not be professional. Like be who you want to be. Like if an org's gonna pick you up and they're gonna have you talking a different way that you don't want to, like then don't accept. You don't
want to wear the mask forever anyway.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to get it picked up by an org that you're not gonna gel with personally.
Yeah, but at the same time, like anime titties, like be cool, right?
Present the best version of yourself.
Yeah, you don't need to have that plastered on your page. If you need to do that, all right, go private. But for everything else, like professional forward, right? Professionally minded, and also just like eclectic. So like you stream, or I have classes, or I do this. I'm also a graphic artist. Like things that like diversify you. Like again, talking like a regular job, but you need to be ready because if you went to a PAX and someone like maybe saw you at the Nintendo booth and they're like, hey, you're pretty good. And they saw that maybe you're wearing, I don't know, a Genesis shirt. Or maybe they see that you're wearing an ESAM jersey and they're like, are you a pro player? And you're like, no, but actually I do play. And they're like, oh, are you on Twitter? And then you can just be like, right there, here I am, Sam from Kentucky with 350 followers. But like, actually, here are my latest results. And it could start a conversation. You know what I mean? Versus having your profile not be ready. So just be ready. And someone's always watching and someone's already watched you is a very, very good thing to keep in mind too. So if you think like it's too late to change, it's fine. Like people already probably either filed you as something or the other, but there's always time to change what you think you are. Don't just think
first impressions matter, but they're not everything. And also sort of my final point on this is I think I came into this a little bit too big, and maybe we both are, let's also consider. So when I'm talking about teams and sponsors, I'm thinking about tier 1 and tier 2. But there are a ton of smaller sponsors out there that are regional based.
Oh my god, yeah.
There's so many of them, and if that's your goal,
yeah.
Like I don't know if it's a good idea to sort of come from out of nowhere and try to get on something like PG or something like Liquid or CLG or whatever. But you know, something that's small in your area with like 3,000 followers, something like that. If they pay for your venue fees, that's great. That's a come up, you know? Nothing wrong with that, but all the same rules still apply, like you were talking about. And to those orgs, you might actually want to reach out, just because those guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to sound unfair, but it's sort of amateur hour, so those guys don't know what they don't know. So you might want to hit them up, but yeah. Yeah,
like speaking within like a TSM, no one is reaching out to TSM and applying. They
exactly. Yeah.
They're discovering you, just like similarly Lakers, Miami Heat, etc. But there are definitely, and framing this down to like more local, in a local sense, people start orgs all the time.
Yes.
And no shade, but like some are, like completely useless, mismanaged, and have no goal or vision. And they just slapped whatever 2D like thing that they want to monogram on a jersey. But like,
which is fine if that's what they want to do.
Live the dream,
you know?
Live big, right? But others are like well-meaning, and they partner up with the university. They are sponsored by Panera, which might sound silly, but like it's a neighboring venue, and they worked out a lunch deal with their locals. So like if you buy a ticket for the venue, you get half off at Panera, and they're sponsored, right? Like things like that happen all the time, and that's just basic partnerships and like marketing. Those orgs reach out and be like, hey, at your local, I saw, like I've seen game stores, like famously, Light used to be sponsored by a place I used to go to in Connecticut called Underworld Games, and it's headed by a guy everyone's probably seen. His name is Matt Dreisen, and he does merch at almost every major event. He's done a lot of the bead art, he does a lot of the paintings, he does all, okay, you've definitely seen him because he does the bead art, or whatever it's called, of like the life-size like Hungry Boxes and E-Sams, Armada. He does those, and he runs Underworld Games, or ran. Right now he's like planning like another store or whatever. But he used to sponsor Light, and he used to be UG Light. Light would go with money that, you know, he would like pay for to Massachusetts to play the likes of Mars and Pug West and Raffi and Craftus back, you know, when we were in the midst of Smash 4. And so was Light with Rogue? No, Light was not with Rogue. But you know, he definitely got a lot of out of a small time sponsor, which, you know, Drizzen, great guy and everything, but like in the tier of things, like Underworld Games was not Liquid, but it allowed mobility for Light, and as an up and coming player, mobility over everything. Like, you're not gonna get a salary, you're not gonna get a stipend, but if you get your travel, whether it be a bus you have to be in for 4 hours, and your stay covered, that's really what you should be shooting for. I think that because the lines are so close, and because Twitter and what social media gives us access to, people think like, oh, I can live big and get the dream and get like, you know, a self-streaming IRL camera that I could take around everywhere, and I'm gonna have like 2,000 people turn into my stream. Like, you're gonna get maybe 7, 10.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Build up your brand, do your thing, but like, no shame in reaching out to small-time sponsors. Everyone who's big now at one point was with one to get to where they are today. Just like any job you had. Like, listen, you work at a pizza shop and you're like, oh, minimum wage, blah, blah, blah. Like, you take those skills and you present it to your next job and said, hey, I headed 3 cashiers and managed the product, the blah, 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 and kept inventory. Like, all of a sudden you're interesting, right? Even though you worked at a pizza shop, it's stuff like that. So I think that pretty much ends it there. Reach out to people that are accessible. The big leagues, they'll talk to you. They'll call you.
Yeah, definitely.
So second question. This is from a buddy of mine. This is actually from a friend that I met actually through Smash. His name is Co-op. He's a Louisiana TO, past TO. Now he spends his time streaming Apex and playing Risk of Rain 2 with me. His question, which I found with Coney to be quite compelling, was Q&A for SmashCenter. How long will melee personalities stay in the game? And after further inquiring with him, he meant in Ultimate. And I think most notably when we had our summit, we had Chillin and Vish and I think that was it in terms of one of these things is not like the other. But even then, we had at Full Bloom 5, Fish co-cast with, I think it was, were you? No, you weren't there. He co-casted with someone. Might have been Keitaro. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Chat will tell us. But I think in that sense, Coney, what do we think about melee personalities being in the game? Because at this point, or sorry, by this point in Smash 4's lifespan, definitely not as much melee was involved. And by the middle, melee completely gone. Like, you were having a saga, right? You're having a saga. There was no melee. There was no DJ Nintendo. There was no Vish. There was no Chillin. There was no... I think that's pretty much the overlap. Can't think of anybody else.
I think it's a little bit too cynical to say, you know, people are only in it because it's the hotness right now.
They are.
A lot of them.
They're not. They're not.
Well, a lot of them, you know, because like it's too cynical to say that, because like a lot of them genuinely do enjoy the game, and they're gonna get crap for it either way.
Yeah.
Like there's no way out of it on the other end. A lot of them really do enjoy the game, but some of them are using this to prop up the melee side when they go back. Like this is sort of a filler arc, and they're gonna go back to melee, and then that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, whatever gets more eyes on us, I don't really care. Same thing with Summit. Like, if you need melee people there because you're primarily a melee brand and you want to get melee audience interested in Ultimate, sure, absolutely, why not? But I think to finish that thought, the answer is when things dry up.
Yeah, we saw it in Smash 4 pretty quickly. Once the E3 and all those things stopped, that stopped, you know.
Right. But I don't think that's necessarily, like, I don't think that's a melee-only thing. Like, if Ultimate dried up, I wouldn't be around either. Like, you know, if we had, like, 100-viewer streams, 200-viewer streams, like, I would play the game, and I would probably commentate it in my region, because I like the game, but... there's a breaking point for everybody. So I think that theirs is just, you know, maybe a little bit higher than some people who are more involved.
Yeah,
so
I definitely go on.
I think it's disingenuous to say like, oh, you're only here because, you know, you want the paycheck, because a lot of people not are only there for the paycheck, but that's a big incentive on why a lot of people are doing what they do. Like, we commentators aren't trying to go negative at every single event. I'm not flying across the United States to go to Southern California to talk about Smash Ultimate for 8 hours and lose $600. You know, there's a limit for everybody. So.
Yeah, everyone's got to eat. I mean, I think we can agree on that. I don't think, like, there are people that lead with the money, and I think those people are obvious. There's hardly any, but it's more so that. Yeah, right now, like, at any moment, with the proper lens, you know, Smash could be easily on TV, right? With a TBS, ESL, some sort of deal worked out, Nintendo comes out, blah, 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 right? Even PAX, right? You could be at a PAX. And so people near the top obviously want to make sure they're there for those sort of things. And they're working just as much as anyone else would. But I am a firm believer that they are not taking the seats away of anybody. If you were to stand on your own and convince otherwise, then you would have. I don't think that we should be making concessions to non-melee casters because it's what it is, man. Like, yes, Summit was shallow in a lot of aspects regarding commentary because they featured non-Smash 4 casters, and that's fine. It resorted more to jokes. It resorted more to banter as opposed to actual gameplay. But at the end of the day, also, like, Leffen knows more than, like, the top 3, like... like, Leffen knows more than, like, the top 30 of the PGR 100 almost combined at some times, you know?
Yep.
And, yes, Zero has intense knowledge. Yes, Larry and Void have intense knowledge. They go toe-to-toe with Leffen, you know? And Leffen is a melee player, but also... Leffen's getting results. Leffen will undoubtedly be within that PGR top 50 range, you know, if not in it. So when we start to like gate guard our own, it gets kind of weird. Not that co-op implied that, but it's definitely a feeling I've seen, both in public and private. So I think melee personalities will stay until maybe there's bigger fish to fry, but as a whole, probably, you know, until they decide whether or not they like this game enough to eclipse their love for melee, or they can work in tandem, you know, because we're going to see melee, like, for example, SmashCon. Like, SmashCon is going to feature so much for Ultimate that melee could double dip, you know, depending. But
sure, yeah.
At the end of the day, like, yeah, there's kind of an awkward food chain that gets introduced when you start involving the other pond instead of just the one we were in, where it's like, yeah, it's just suar Coney and EE, TK, you know. Now it's like, okay, now we have more names to consider, and the B-listers that we've had just don't cut it. Like, if you're entering Ultimate with less than 2,000 followers, like, this is a metric, you know, and it's not a metric to be used against you, but it's a metric that people are going to consider when they need to make their lineup, you know. That's just how it is. So,
well, everybody's got something that they bring. Like, this sounds crass, but like, I'm a white guy. Like, a lot of the top Smash casters are black, and like, I'm a white guy. In a weird way, that brings a sort of diversity to the thing.
I did not know you were going this way.
I could have gone in a lot of directions with that, I guess.
It was gonna sound crass, but I'm Caucasian.
Okay, no. What I mean is, like, it. Even if you look at things at their most base level, like, people have elements about them that make them valuable or less valuable to, you know, whatever.
Bro, real talk,
so,
yeah.
That's how it is. And, like, I think that if somebody is able to come in and just be more appealing or do your job better than you or just get these seats, you can't look at that and be like, well, it's only because of this. It's only because they did that. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of thing. It's your job to play to your strength and, like, to be the best version of you that you can. Because, like you said, if you were going to do it, you'd be doing it anyway. So I think that if you're worrying about melee coming over and taking your jobs, you're focusing on the wrong thing anyway. Yeah. And I think the reason that I bring up, like, me being white or whatever is that, like, a lot of people get on Vicky because they don't think that she's up to snuff because she's a woman, and there's a lot of, like, overlap in that, and that's why Vicky said she was taking a break, because it's insane the amount of crap people give her. If she talks too much, people say she's like, okay, well, she's overpowering the broadcast. If she doesn't talk enough, people say, why is she even there? Like,
if she yells, she's shrieking. If she blah, like, yeah.
Exactly. She's in a really bad spot, but she, not only is she very good for the broadcast, it does have a lot of value to have a woman on the broadcast to have that point. You know what I mean? It's not about checking off a box. There's a lot to be gained from that.
Yeah, and commentary once started as, like, who knows the most about what's going on in this game. Say it however you want to an audience of 20, maybe 10 people on Twitch, is now the face of tournaments. It's now the what might get clipped for Kotaku, or even farther down the road, like for something like ESPN. So, you know, I don't think that it's fair to say that one person should be in because of their gender or race or not, but also what tournaments build and what broadcast teams build out needs to reflect the people that play it, you know? And so if it's one too much of anything, like, it doesn't work, and it alienates the base regardless of intention. But at the same time, like, there's also other strengths and other things. It doesn't need to be having, like, Kuragane Hammer the person on commentary. Like, in fact, I dislike commentary that talks about frame data, and I think that we've almost pigeonholed ourselves into having to talk about frame data because of the fear of, like, oh my gosh, am I fraudulent if I don't? But it's honestly, like, very inconsequential. Right now, frame data has not saved or made a step for me in the past 4 years of Smash. It's interesting to know that this frame, this move wasn't safe on shield, or was safe on shield, or that they could be punished for it. But, like, when you get to that, man, that's, like, at that point, like, I remember when I was talking to Alan about adding a figure for one of the PGstats cards or the PGR cards, and I wanted to add like 5 significant figures, and he's like, dude, round that to the nearest 10th because no one's going to care about the rest. Same deal. Like, you were talking to a specialized group of nerds at that point that do not make or break your broadcast. And when we move away from that, people get upset because now it's more relaxed, or it's more, you know, not even bantery, but it's more about the dynamic of the game as opposed to the mechanics of the game. And that's what has people like, oh, they're fraud, or oh, they're just like a pretty face, or oh, they're just whatever.
For their own purposes, whatever.
Exactly.
Like people see into it too much, and like it's one thing to say you don't like somebody's, like, maybe you don't think I'm funny, or you think that EE has corny one-liners or whatever. Like, maybe you don't like a commentator. That's fine. Everybody has personal taste. And honestly, we don't care. Like, if you like us or don't like us, we know that we appeal to some people, we don't appeal to others. That's fine. We don't take
haters gonna hate.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, we don't dislike you because you don't like it. It's fine. It's cool. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of people out there. But the stuff that some people get, like Vicky, is way too much. And I know it might seem like a stretch to bring this in on this conversation, but I think people sort of view Melee in a sort of similar lens where they see Melee people coming over and they say, well, you're only doing this for X. Not many people, honestly. I noticed that that's happening a lot less than the other stuff.
Finish your point, go on.
But I do see people sort of seeing what Melee's doing and putting that sort of auspicious eye to it.
Yeah.
Which I think is valuable in some cases, if I'm being honest, because, like, it's the same sort of suspicion that we have for sponsors that just pump and dump our events out of nowhere, and, like, you know what I mean? Like, people who are very clearly not... We have to be a little protective and circle the wagon sometimes. But I think that could go a little bit too far in trying to gatekeep or try to keep out people that have been a genuine value or are trying to be a genuine value to the community.
Yeah, and let's not even talk about where it went the other way. Like, we won't get too much into it, but notably, and this happened on Twitter about a week and a half ago when TK was talking about just his dealings with feedback, hate, love, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Commentary. When TK went to Melee, and TK did Battle of the Gods, an event sponsored by Red Bull, in which he got nothing but hate. And it was not good, and that speaks more to, like, the double standards of, like, oh, you can come into our scene, hey, what's up, how you doing, here's a seat. But then the other way around, it was like, no, like, you are not, like, I feel like no one in this community can say no to anyone from Melee coming over, just point blank. Like, what can I even say? Like, you know, even someone like Vish, like, no, you may not, Vish, and his pedigrees runs deeper than mine because, like, he's just older. Like, at that point, it becomes legacy. It just becomes legacy. Like, what do you say to that, you know? And, yeah, with TK, it did not work out. Not one bit. And no legacy saved him there. No personality saved him there. Like, it was just... And he didn't even necessarily do, quote-unquote, a bad job. He did the same amount that many of them have done on our side, if not better. Being totally honest. Like, I don't knock Melee commentators entering Ultimate Commentary, but there's definitely a level of shallowness that, like, they're usually at. Like, it's not, you know, and it's like, talk about someone who could take it, but, like, Hungrybox, you know, like, Hungrybox, personally, he yells, cool. He gets hype, cool. Moves are typically not the ones he's saying, which is just lack of game knowledge. But, like, again, this guy's a god in another game. You go to the, you know, you go from Chinese checkers to checkers. Like, it's not the same deal, man. And so whatever tactics and things worked for you, like, it's not the same, but it's the same fundamental. Big personality, a god in Melee, but not the same one-to-one transition that you'd expect if you were to do Melee.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a hard one, because, like, what, you're going to have a Hungrybox pick up a slot in Frostbite? Or are you going to have the hometown homie with 800 Twitter followers and, like, a spiff jacket?
Yeah, that's been an ongoing thing. I mean, a lot of people...
Tough,
that specific thing happening, and it's... I don't know. It's about the event, and it's about priorities, what you want to do.
It's about the event. That's the best way to put it. I think we can end it there. It's about the event. It's not about you. You're not... This isn't your career move at Genesis. Yes, like, Genesis isn't the... I'm going to make, like... That's, dude, it's prescribed. It's been written. It's been written, so it shall be done. Like ages ago for
The only thing that sucks though is, let's say you're like a mid-level commentator in NorCal, and NorCal has an event, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to put our people on. We've got all the big guys, and then we've got 8 of our own guys. But then you've got a different event that doesn't want that focus. They're like, okay, we want the best of the best. We only want 6 commentators. That might be the only event you get to go to because you're a mid-level commentator in your region, and you can't go out to other regions because they're hiring their mid-level commentators. So if you're like a Kansas guy, and Kansas has a huge I don't know when this would happen. Kansas has a huge super national event. Like, all right, we're only going to have the top 6 casters. You will never get another opportunity. And that's what sucks. So I get it. I get that side, and it's really tough to find out where the balance is.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's difficult.
Yeah, so Melee, I think they're here to stay for a while. While the iron's hot, they shall strike.
Yes.
And I don't think it's problematic, more so than it is just something that has to be handled with, critical thought. I don't take issue up with Hungry Bucks, like I said earlier, but like it's just noted. It's like that's his thing, right? Getting loud, cool.
Yeah.
If a similar style was applied to someone with, again, the 800 followers and Twitter jacket, they'd be on the Reddit feedback thread. Please, no more blank and blank. And it happens all the time. So double standards, clout, and legacy, that kind of defines the entirety of Smash commentary.
Yeah,
sorry to paint a bleak picture, but also that defines most of the world too. So if you're finding it out now, good luck. But I think I closed out Q&A. I think, Coney, we can leave you alone now. We can start prepping for Pound in the coming weeks. Any final remarks, Coney, before we sign out the whole show?
No, this is a pretty heavy show. A lot of cool stuff discussed. I think I just said everything that I really wanted to say. I have so many thoughts on this stuff.
I know.
And I'm glad that we're able to talk about this and not just sort of the game in front of us. I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had, and I think it's cool that we're having a platform for that. You know what I mean? I hope you guys like it too. If you're watching this, please leave us comments, leave us feedback, whatever you guys want. I think there's a lot to be discussed that is nigh impossible to do on Twitter, which is where we all live right now.
Yeah, and it's a slow point in the year, if I'm being real. I mean, PGR wise, results wise, it's slow. So we're gonna keep it interesting until then. Once it gets hot, it'll be even hotter. So you can always find us here, Coney, of course, on the Twitter and on the Twitches, twitch.tv/ConeyZZ, right?
Nope.
Coney.
Twitch is Coney, Twitter is ConeyZZ. I know it's a trip up. Dude, I don't know. I've been trying to find somebody that works at Twitter that can help me out for literal years. The guy that owns @Coney tweeted one time in 2009. I don't know what to do.
Damn. That's hands on site. All right.
Yeah,
so,
basically.
Thanks, Coney. We'll see you next week. What we're gonna about, but For SmashCenter, go ahead and, if you're viewing this on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay tuned for the latest in Smash news. There's always something going on, and there's definitely something to talk about. For what it's worth, I think that, the show's chugging along. The Q&A has been spicy. Again, thanks to the 2 questions we got earlier. We're going to feature you and have everything set up so that you get the most amount of clout from the questions you asked. Shout outs to Thwack. Follow him at ThwackSmash to see what this guy is capable of. His writing is incredible. He supplies the writing for the show and the coverage that I try to mumble rap my way through in the beginning. I know I really try. But yeah, thanks again. This has been SmashCenter episode 11. You have gotten everything you need to know to go into your week straight, prepared, and informed. We're going to see you next week at 7 p.m. sharp at twitch.tv/Panda Global. We appreciate all of you. We love all of you. And we hope you have a great week. And yeah, hit me up in the DMs for any Q&A and tell your friends about it, because SmashCenter is where it's all happening. See you at night.